Previously, we put Ted Lasso and the entire AFC Richmond squad in the English Premier League using Football Manager 2023. In Season 1, Ted Lasso led AFC Richmond to a respectable 15th placed finish that the board was very pleased with. The team was led by the goal-scoring duo of Jamie Tartt and Danny Rojas. Moving into Season 2, the expectations will be higher as the squad strives for a mid-table finish. But, having lost their best player Zava in January, will Ted Lasso be able to lead AFC Richmond to success in Season 2? Welcome back to the Filipino FM channel, your home for Filipino football content. As we mentioned earlier, we're doing a little bit of a departure from the usual content. We're looking at Ted Lasso and AFC Richmond and Football Manager 2023. Last episode, we introduced the squad and went through Season 1, where we saw AFC Richmond finish 15th place, which the board was pretty happy with. So today, we're going to move into the future seasons and see how Ted Lasso and the squad do then. A few updates as far as the squad is concerned. Isaac McAdoo has left the squad for Arsenal, so we won't have Isaac McAdoo next season, as well as we mentioned previously, Zava, who had left in January. As far as additions are concerned, Donny van de Beek and Marcus Alonso have come into the squad for a combined £25.5 million. The squad is still led by the main core of players from the show, however, with Sam Obisanya, Jamie Tartt, Mo Bumbercatch, Danny Rojas, Van Dam, Colin Hughes, Richard Montlair, etc., being kind of the leading forces of this squad. And finally, we have seen some changes to Ted Lasso's ability, which has actually gotten a little bit worse. People management, motivating, determination, and mental were all 20 to start the game, but they've dropped to 18, so we will see if that has any effect on how he's able to coach the players. So with that, I think we'll move into Season 2 and catch up with AFC Richmond then. In the season preview, AFC Richmond is expected to finish 11th, around a mid-table finish, which is also the expectation for the board. So we'll see if Ted Lasso and AFC Richmond are able to meet those expectations. All right, we are at the end of Season 2 in the 26th of June 2024, and we are going to go to competitions to see how Ted Lasso and the AFC Richmond squad did. And looking at our oh no. All right. It looks like AFC Richmond has unfortunately been relegated down to the Sky Bet Championship. Let's go to the English Premier Division and see how they did. Looks like Liverpool won it again. So looking at the previous season, oh, wow. The relegated teams were very poor. AFC Richmond finishing 18th, but way, way behind where they needed to be as far as staying in the league is concerned. Only 19 points, 32 goals for, 74 goals allowed. It looks like it was a pretty tough season for AFC Richmond. And looking at the AFC Richmond squad, I think a big part of those struggles were losing two of the best players in the squad. Jamie Tartt leaving to Manchester City, which is very, very much like what would happen in the show. That seems very on brand for Football Manager to do. But also Samo Bisanya leaving for Liverpool, Van Dam leaving for Fulham, and Jan Maas, who is an important center back, leaving for Al Duhail. So overall, some really tough losses as far as the transfer is concerned for Ted Lasso and the squad, with essentially the two best players of the team leaving. And looking at the squad, it's really a very different squad from what we became familiar with throughout the show and in Season 1. Danny Rojas, Colin Hughes, Mo Bumbercatch, and Richard Montlar, it looks like they are the only four players from the core of the show who are left. So hopefully those four and the rest of the squad will be able to promote the team back up from the Sky Bet Championship. But until then, it's looking like a tough road. And as far as the season is concerned, it looks like Jamie Tartt left pretty early in the season after a really good start. 3 matches in, already having scored 2 goals and a really good 7.1 rating for AFC Richmond. but 72 million pounds was just too much for AFC Richmond to pass up on. And honestly, he had a really good season at Man City. 28 appearances, 11 goals, 8 assists. Overall, Jamie Tartt is having a pretty successful season. On the flip side, it looks like Sam Obisanya was part of that AFC Richmond relegating squad. 30 appearances, but not really great. Very similar to last season, a 6.77 rating, 3 assists. Overall, honestly, pretty average. Looking through some other players, Donny Rojas had a pretty good season, 13 goals in 30 appearances and an overall 6.92 rating. From that, it seems like he scored almost half of the goals that AFC Richmond had in that entire Premier League season. Colin Hughes had a little bit of a disappointing season, a stalwart in the side playing 36 matches, but overall only 1 goal and 3 assists. They didn't use Richard Montlar too much, only 2 appearances and a 6.45 rating, which may explain why he wasn't used so much. But not too bad from Mo Bumbercatch, 34 appearances, 1 goal, 5 assists, and an overall 6.72 average rating. Looking at last season's schedule, it was a really good start to the season, and remember that Jamie Tartt left after the third match, with Jamie Tartt and Danny Rojas scoring against Nottingham Forest, and Danny Rojas and Bumbercatch scoring against Blackpool, before a loss to Tottenham, a devastating loss to Tottenham. Wow. 2 goals in the last few minutes leading Tottenham to victory. But after that, it was all downhill from there as far as the Premier Division is concerned. It doesn't look like, wow, they didn't win another Premier League game until March 9th, when a Danny Rojas hat trick led them to victory against Crystal Palace. But 2 games for the rest of the season were wins. A really, really poor season, lots of losses. So unfortunately, Ted Lasso wasn't able to keep AFC Richmond up with honestly a pretty awful season. I was also curious to see where Zava was at. So Zava has become a manager. He is currently unemployed. So he has retired. Looking at his milestones, he did win Ligue 1 last season with PSG. And it looks like he also won the Champions League Golden Boot. Wow. So Zava had a pretty amazing last season before his retirement. After season one, Roy Kent left for Sheffield United in the Championship, who actually AFC Richmond will be playing this season. But he didn't have a bad time with Sheffield United. 31 appearances, 3 assists, and a 6.81 rating. So he's still kicking around, and we will see him playing against AFC Richmond in this upcoming season. So this is where we're at currently with AFC Richmond. So we are going to go forward one more season with AFC Richmond in the Sky Bet Championship, and we're going to see how they're doing then. We'll catch up with you here shortly. All right, we are one season into the future, and let's see how Ted Lasso and AFC Richmond did in the Sky Bet Championship. So looking at competitions, and it looks like a promotion was on the cards. Congratulations to Ted Lasso and AFC Richmond. They are back in the English Premier Division. Let's take a look at their schedule and see how they did last season. So, looking at how they did last season, it looks like Southampton won. But hey, just like in the show, AFC Richmond, on what I'm going to assume was the final day, did get promoted. So just like in season 2 of Ted Lasso, when AFC Richmond were in the championship, they got promoted by finishing second, and history has repeated itself in Football Manager. Great work from Ted Lasso and the squad. Looking at the AFC Richmond schedule, it looks like they had a pretty good season throughout. A little bit of a blip coming in November, but otherwise a really strong season, and especially a really strong end to the season in the last few months, only losing 1 game in the Sky Bet Championship. Interestingly, to Roy Kent's Sheffield United squad. So overall, really good season from AFC Richmond. I was curious to see how Ted Lasso is looking, and overall, an improvement in attacking, which has now gone up to 3, but otherwise, his attributes have remained pretty much the same. And looking at the squad, it looks like a lot of our players have left. I don't see Danny Rojas in the squad anymore, with just Mo Bumbercatch, it looks like, left from our original team. And this is confirmed in the transfers, Danny Rojas having left for Tottenham, Colin Hughes having left for West Ham, Richard Montlar having left for Leeds. So pretty much we are at kind of the end as far as the players in the show are concerned, being with our AFC Richmond squad. It looks like Danny Rojas left before the season started. He left for Tottenham. 27 appearances, 5 goals and 3 assists at Tottenham. Overall, not too bad, but maybe not having as much of an impact as he was at AFC Richmond. Colin Hughes did spend the previous season with AFC Richmond in the Sky Bet Championship, a pretty decent 6.99 average rating, 1 goal and 4 assists in 25 appearances, and he'll be plying his trade at West Ham this upcoming season. Finally, Richard Montlar left at the beginning of the previous season, moving to Leeds on a £17 million transfer, and overall, he had some pretty good performances for Leeds, playing in more games with 24 appearances and getting 3 goals and 4 assists, with a solid 7.14 average. Looking at some of our players who left previously, Jamie Tartt had a spectacular season with Manchester City, 33 appearances, 15 goals, 6 assists, and an overall 7.2 rating. And looking at their milestones, he actually was the best player in Europe, runner up, winning the Champions League and Carabao Cup with Man City. So overall, Jamie Tartt is on his way to a truly fantastic career. On the flip side, Sam Obisanya is still at Liverpool, and he had a big part to play in their previous season. A 7.39 average rating, 2 goals and 5 assists, and 37 English Premier League appearances. And he was able to lift the EPL with Liverpool, and actually also winning the African Defender of the Year. So another player who is just playing really well at a new club. And looking at the makeup of the AFC Richmond squad, it's definitely not what we saw in season one. We still have Jeff Goodman and Bo Bumbercatch in the squad, but there is definitely a much higher reliance on those loanies with Gabriel Slonina, who I'm not really sure who this is, so let's look him up. Oh, he's an American, probably ties and a model citizen. So probably some ties with Ted Lasso. He actually doesn't look like a bad keeper. He looks pretty good. Solid aerial reach and command of area, good reflexes in one-on-ones. So he was probably a really good signing, and a 7.2 average rating suggests that's the case. Additionally, it looks like they brought in Calvin Ramsey on loan from Liverpool. He had a solid 39 appearances and a 6.97 average rating. And the one who I was really curious to look at, because it looked like he had a lot of goals from their schedule, was Armando Broja, who had 28 goals in 41 appearances for AFC Richmond. So overall, it looks like the signings that Ted Lasso, Rebecca Welton, and Leslie Higgins were bringing into the squad had a big impact on their promotion season. And looking at the Sky Bet Championship awards from the previous season, indeed, it looks like Armando Broja had a big impact, winning the Player of the Year award as well as the Top Goal Scorer awards. So 28 goals from Broja did lead AFC Richmond to a promotion campaign. So I think we'll leave it there. We do have 5 seasons in this simulation. So we've done season 1. Today we did seasons 2 and 3. And I think we'll leave seasons 4 and 5 for our next video. With AFC Richmond back in the Premier Division, we'll see in the next 2 seasons whether Ted Lasso is able to keep them up. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this Football Manager experiment, and we'll be back with more videos soon. Bye.